Hi, my name is Igor Kafetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kafetz. I wasn't born fat. I was actually a skinny kid growing up all the way until the age of about 7, but by the age of 12, I was already 35 pounds overweight. I was basically a fat ass. My parents always told me that it was because I was big bone and because my dad was fat and because his mom was fat and her mom was fat. So basically, I was born into a generation of fat bastards and so on and so forth. So basically what they were telling me is that I was supposed to accept the idea that it was okay for me to be fat just like my dysfunctional siblings were. And over the years, this idea morphed into a powerful belief that life dealt me a bad hand and that I'm genetically designed to be fat. Now, this is a really powerful belief for a kid that's just 12 years old because that crap kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life. But you know what? At least I was smart. I got straight A's in school, and that was enough to carry my self-esteem through my early adulthood, so I didn't mind being fat most of the time until it was not enough. Until I hit a tipping point, and the tipping point became that sensitive time when I realized that being fat prevented me from getting the approval of the species of the opposite sex. Being smart was no longer enough. I had to be smart and look good, or at least look good enough to feel comfortable in my own skin. That's when I started my on and off battle with my belly tires and my man boobs, and it took me about 7 years to get in shape and stay there. And would you like to know one of the biggest things I learned? It's not the only reason I lost a lot of weight and I'm able to easily keep it off, although it's probably one of the primary reasons why I was able to achieve that. It's one of those 80-20 things. But it is important, and it is important that you know what it is because it will probably generate much better results for you in the long term, better than the diet you're on or your fasting habits and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So if you're someone who's been taking on supplements and they don't work for you, or if you're someone who can't stick to a diet, this one tip can quite literally make all of these problems go away. Now, that's the marketer in me talking. Of course, I'm dramatizing it a little bit, but what kind of marketer would I be if I didn't, right? But here's the big secret. If you don't want to eat cake, or if you know that you have weakness when it comes to cakes, then don't put cake in the fridge, period. Create an environment where cakes are not a part of it. In other words, make sure that you don't rely on your willpower to not eat cake, even though it's right there and you know it's right there. Make sure you create an environment where cake doesn't exist. In which case, it will be so much easier for you to not eat the cake because to get it, you'll have to, put your clothes on, go to your local, Longo's or whatever, Walmart, and to get all those sweets. But what I see people do is they say they want to lose weight, they say they want to get in shape, but somehow they're always in near proximity to sweets, candies, sugars, sodas, and all that stuff. Like, seriously, if you know that if there's a cake near you, you will probably eat it, then just don't be near cakes. As simple as that. If you are walking or commuting to your work and you're passing at Tim Hortons or Starbucks or whatever, right? And you always go there to get a donut, then guess what? Try to find another route to get to your job, right? I mean, it just makes more sense to do it that way. For the longest time, I couldn't lose weight. And one of the reasons is because I lived in a house where, besides myself, no one else was committed to the idea, right? I lived in a house, in a home where both my mom and my dad ate lots and lots of unhealthy foods. So it took me a long time before I could structure a routine where I wasn't coming across things that would distract me and that put me off track of my diet. So now that I live, on my own with my family, and I get to call the shots in my own home sometimes, when it comes to food, like, we're really careful about what food makes it to the house. And I often notice, and this has been especially true since my wife got pregnant with our second child, I often notice that sometimes things appear in my house that are not supposed to be here, like candy bars and all kinds of different Russian sweets and stuff like that my wife really loves. And unless I'm really adamant about throwing all these things away, somehow they end up in my mouth. I mean, even though I even though I like to think about myself as somebody who has a really strong willpower, and if you talk to any of my friends, they will probably tell you that I do have a strong willpower muscle, and it is like a muscle. The problem with that is it is a muscle. It gets tired. And so unless you, like, if you always strain it, if it's always strained to the max and you always have to resist the chocolate, you're always like passing that chocolate in the kitchen, and you always have to resist it. At some point, you're having a bad day, you had a failure come up, or you had a big challenge, or you just feel tired, like, you'll eat that chocolate. You'll just eat it because it's there. So I highly recommend creating an environment that is productive, that is helpful, that helps you achieve the goal rather than gets in the way of that, and you trying to achieve your goal by quite literally fighting the environment itself, which is the way I used to do it. I used to fight the environment. I used to, really feel that in order for me to feel good about achieving an outcome, I have to be able to achieve it in spite of a really, really poor environment around me, which, I can honestly say that was the case when I was trying to get rich. That was the case when I was just trying to build up my business. That is why a lot of times it's so difficult for people with all the naysayers around them, the environment, because people are a part of that environment. And if you're trying to get rich and everybody around you is telling you that you can't, or you shouldn't, or that's a bad idea, or you're just going to fail, then that environment is not supporting you right in your outcome. So that's why if you're like trying to get rich, try to spend more time with the people who are rich. Try to spend more time in masterminds and groups that encourage you to achieve this goal, that encourage you to achieve this dream. Try to consume more content that tells you that you can and that you should, and how to do it. Same thing with losing weight. Not only should you consume content that tells you how to lose weight, not only should you become a mastermind and get an accountability partner that helps you exercise and helps you stick to your food regimen, but another thing you really have to do is that you have to ask yourself, okay, what is the environment where I spend most of my time? And if that environment is your home office, or your home, or your friend's home, or your job, your office, do whatever you have to, but adjust that environment to serve you in the achievement of your goal. Don't try to achieve a goal within an environment that is not supportive of that outcome. I'll give you another example. So right now, I've officially finished my new home office. It's fully set up the way I want it. Now, all I have in this home office is just a few things. First off, there's on the walls, there's courtesy of Dennis Ray, thank you very much. There's a bunch of motivational posters, but not the kind of motivational poster that say stuff like, do what you love and stuff like that. More so about productivity and sales. Right. So, for example, one poster says, likes don't pay the bills, sales do. Right. So that kind of to remind me that if I'm on Facebook and browsing through my newsfeed, or posting, want to post something on social media, it's like, okay, Igor, remember, likes don't pay the bills, sales do. Go write some emails. Right. Or, something to do with time or productivity, or high income generating activities, whatever it needs to be for me to keep me on track. Another thing that's right here is a light box, one light box and one camera with a wireless microphone, so I can record my videos. There's one desk that I got on Amazon for $80, one chair that I got in Home Depot or Staples for $150. There's one shelf with a few books on it, and also my Alexa on it as well, or Amazon Echo, courtesy of Dennis Ray. Thank you very much. Seems like Dennis Ray is quite literally funding my entire setup over here. And one last thing that's here is, besides a bathroom, of course, is an espresso machine. That is the only extra thing that I felt I was missing, because I would always find myself around 11 or 12 p.m. start getting out, going to a coffee shop just to get a shot of espresso, because homemade coffee kind of sucks. And so I ended up fixing that problem by, getting myself an espresso machine. It's right here in the office. It increases my productivity. When I invite clients over, they get to see it. I get to make them an espresso. They feel really special. It's a part of the thing. It's a part of the whole environment for me, and it really, really, really helps stay productive and on track. Literally. Like, another thing that I really like about this new environment is that I live in a house that has 2 floors and a basement. So this is technically a basement, although it doesn't feel like one because I got spacious big windows and I got lots of light here. But what I can do now is I can actually wake up at 6 a.m. I wake up at 6:02. I can go downstairs and I can record videos before Anastasia and Erica are up. Now that is huge for me, because I used to need to go to a coffee shop back in Israel. I used to find the right time. It needed to be between 9 and 11 a.m. I needed to bring in at least another person to hold the camera. I need to do a bunch of things. Now I can just wake up, brush my teeth, put the espresso, brew some espresso, and then sit down and record a damn video. That's it. It's very fast, very easy, very productive environment to achieve the goal. So right now, wherever you are, what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, what is the environment? Where are you spending most of your time? And what that environment needs to look like, ideally, for you to be most productive about achieving that ideal outcome that you would like to achieve. And this is going to be one of the most important questions you could ask yourself, because if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to make money, if you're trying to create better relationships, whatever that is, you can always answer that question and create a supportive environment that will increase the chances of success of you achieving that goal by as much as 50 to 70% sometimes. Again, this is not scientific data, but I just wanted to sound impressive. So for me, anytime I invest in my environment, anytime I consciously create an environment that allows me to better advance towards my goals, I always win. I always achieve those outcomes faster. Another great example of that is the decision to relocate to Canada. Obviously, a big part of that is my business, and coming here, what became evident is that I should have done it a long time ago, because first thing that really, really helps is that being on the same time zone and on the same continent as many of my business partners, because I used to either ask them to stay up late at night to have a call with me, or I needed to stay up late at night to have a call with them, because Israel is 7 hours ahead of time than North America. Some parts of it, of course, it's about 10 hours ahead of the West Coast, which is even worse, because that's why I don't have any joint venture partners in California. Unfortunately, most of them are in Florida and New York. So my point is that it is much easier for me to advance my business, to get more joint venture partners, to go to events, to host webinars, to do a lot of this stuff, than it would have been if I stayed in Israel, where the environment is not productive. Another way the environment changed for me since I moved is now I'm surrounded by people that have a lot of money. In other words, the town that I live in, everybody's driving, BMWs and Mercedeses and Porsches and Lamborghinis. Like, there's people just quite literally walking around with dollar bills taped to their fucking faces. And what that does, it elevates my minimum to a new minimum, right? So basically what used to be a high for me is now the new low. And the new high is much higher than the old high, because I'm surrounded by people that are doing much better than I do, right? Much better, which was different from Israel, because in Israel, I was mostly surrounded by people who were way worse. Like, they were making maybe 1/10 of what I was making in a month, but they were making that in a year. Like that would seriously be the case for most of the time in the town that I lived in. So now I'm surrounded by people who are doing really well, and I have to step up my game because automatically, because being a social animal, I am forced into that sort of environment. And so that was another conscious decision that I made when I decided to move to this particular area, because I didn't want to be surrounded by people who are doing worse than me. I didn't want to be surrounded by people who are deadbeats and people who are not trying to excel. I didn't want to be surrounded by people who are not driving nice cars and who are not living in nice houses, because I knew that if I'm going to stay in that environment, I'm going to settle for a low lifestyle, for a lower level lifestyle, and I didn't want to do that. I would like for my environment to automatically push me forward, and it doesn't even feel like I'm being pushed. It's just automatic. That's one of the reasons why I believe I'm so relentless towards achievement and success, is because it doesn't really feel for me like an effort. It just feels like a proper daily conduct. So ask yourself, what is your goal? Be specific about it, and then create an environment where you're able to positively progress towards that goal, because the environment supports you in doing so. And even if you're someone who's, for example, I got this client who's also now a friend. His name is Terrence, and we met at an event. Terrence told me that he listens to my podcast a lot. So he listens to the podcast a lot, and the reason he does is because he needs to drive places. He needs to drive 2 to 3 hours at each direction, because he works with medical equipment, and he helps hospitals set medical equipment up. At least that's the way I remember that. So my point is that what Terrence has done is that he uses this time to listen to podcasts, and that is a good thing. But Terrence can take it to the next level and plan out the routes with certain stops, for example, where he can sit down and write some emails. He can be setting appointments with marketers along the way. Maybe he's driving to Arizona today, and he knows that on the way he could set an appointment with Chris Record or with some other guy, some other gal, right? It just takes a little bit of research, but that still will create more positivity and more positive reinforcement to the whole thing. So this is just another example of how, even if you are, quote unquote, a victim of your circumstance, you can still adjust the way you behave and the way you use the circumstance in order to achieve your goal. Anyway, I think I made the point. If you'd like to achieve a goal and you're struggling, there's a good chance your environment is preventing you from doing so. So sit down, ask yourself what the goal is, and then redefine your environment to help you better achieve that goal. So this concludes another episode of the List Building Lifestyle. This is Igor Kayfets. Thank you so very much for joining me today, and until next time we chat, have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kayfets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.